So here's what we know so far. The Carter Center says after a series of short hospital stays, President Carter decided today to spend his remaining time at home with his family to receive hospice care. He will not undergo any more medical intervention as of now. Well, Jimmy Carter is receiving that hospice care right now at his home in Plains, Georgia. Plains is located in Sumter County, about 150 miles south of Atlanta. And tonight, prayers and well wishes are pouring in from across the country and, of course, right here in Georgia for President Carter. Governor Brian Kemp today said, quote, "Marty, the girls and I are praying for former President Carter, for former First Lady Rosalind Carter and their family during this time. We ask all Georgians to join us in sending them our thoughts and our prayers." And Senator Raphael Warnock said today, quote, "Across life seasons, President Jimmy Carter was a man of great faith, has walked with God. In this tender time of transitioning, God is surely walking with him. May he, Rosalind, and the entire Carter family be comforted with that peace and surrounded by our love and prayers." One of the most recognized accomplishments of the former president is the Carter Center right here in Atlanta, and on John Lewis Freedom Parkway is where it's located. Mr. Carter and his wife Rosalind founded the Carter Center in 1982, just after his defeat for the second term as president in 1980. Atlanta News First reporter Yasmina Alston spent the day at the Carter Center. And Yasmina, what are people telling you out there? I imagine they all took this news very hard.
Yeah, Tori, people spending their Saturday here at the Carter Center were very sad to hear about former President Carter being in hospice, but those people also say that the work Carter is known for will never be lost.
We had always wanted to come here to the Carter Center.
And so they did. Jamie and Tamara Whiting spent Saturday learning all they could about former U.S. President Jimmy Carter.
He's done so much good, especially since he was president.
But the Georgia couple was saddened to learn on that same Saturday, the 98-year-old former president decided to receive hospice care at his Plains, Georgia home.
The world will lose a very important human being.
The Carter Center sharing in a statement, after a series of short hospital stays, former President Carter will spend his remaining time at home with his family. For those visiting the Carter Center, the news came with many emotions.
Finding out that he's in hospice, I read somewhere once that when somebody passes, we lose a library. And this is a significant library that we're probably on the cusp of losing. So hopefully not. Hopefully we can embrace his values and principles even more so.
It was in 1982 the Atlanta-based center was founded by the Carters and Emory University. According to the center's website, it seeks to prevent and resolve conflicts, enhance freedom and democracy, and improve health, all reasons that bring visitors from everywhere.
Love it. Very, very nice. Enjoyed it. She had to kind of moved me along because the place was closing very soon, and we didn't get finished because we were here for 2 hours, but did get through it. There's a lot here to see and a lot to learn.
And despite hearing of Carter's health, visitors like Al Mosier tell me, of course, Carter is the reason visitors will always come back to learn more.
When I think of Jimmy Carter, I think about his efforts outside of the spotlight after the presidency. In some ways, to me, that kind of really reflects the real nature of a person, the real heart of a person, what they do outside of the limelight. And I think we just need more hearts, more people like that.
And here at the Carter Center, work is done to help not only here in the U.S., but around the world. Live in Atlanta, Yasmina Alston, Atlanta News First.